Culture Yearbook. On this show, we pick pieces of pop culture that were important to us in a given year. We then discuss memories and dig into those movies, albums, shows, and more. I'm Brad.
I'm Pete.
And I'm Giff.
And we are going to take off tonight to a little place called Aspen.
Yes, we are.
Nice.
Actually, there's been a lot of traveling going on here.
We're going to start in Rhode Island.
Gifford's been traveling, and Pete's always traveling, and it kind of fits the theme.
Yeah.
Pete, didn't you want to say something about our numbers?
I do want to give a shout out to our fans, our listeners in Barbados. We are on the charts, and we've ranked as high as 44th. We are the 44th most. Oh, 41st. I thought you said 44th. Oh, all right. Well, we're the 41st most listened to podcast in Barbados as of a week ago, 2 weeks ago?
Oh, I don't know, maybe 3 weeks ago.
It's fine. But we encourage all our listeners to go vacation in Barbados and listen to us because they're doing us a favor. We would like to expand their tourism, industry there. So we want to help them out a little bit.
But if you are listening to us in Barbados, thank you. And
yes,
let us know.
Thank you to all
on Twitter.
What do you call somebody from Barbados? Is that like a Barbadan or something? Barbadosian?
I think that's a barbiturate.
Barbiturate.
Barbarian.
Okay. Got it.
Barbarian. Yep.
I don't
think
that's right.
If you can't make it to Barbados and want to feel like you're in Barbados and part of the culture there, just listen to Pop Culture Yearbook because it's a big part of the culture.
That's right. That's right.
All right. Let's move on. So
moving on.
We got a good one tonight. We're gonna talk about our favorite quotable movies. A brilliant idea cooked up by Gifford's wife because he picked a topic for tonight. So Gifford, why don't you tell us what's going on here?
So all month we are doing Second Chance Month here in July. So we are going back to years that we've already covered, and we're picking something different. And so I started on this podcast when we covered 1994, and at the time I picked Friends because that came out that year, but I was not able to pick Dumb and Dumber, which came out December of 94. In my mind, it is the funniest movie minute by minute. I've said this over and over. I will die on this hill.
You have said that.
Yes. And this is high on my list. So on our format where we can only pick one thing a year, we're kind of limited. So this time around, I'm going with Dumb and Dumber. So I am just we're going to go through kind of memories of the first time we saw this movie and talk about that a little bit. So I remember the first time I watched it. This came out December 16th of 94. We were in our freshman year at college, and I was home for Christmas, and we were at my mom's side for Christmas. It was later in the evening, and it was suggested that I take a bunch of the cousins to the movies. So I got one of my aunt's vehicles. I think it was an Explorer. Thank you, Mary. And loaded up maybe like four or five cousins that were around my age. Went to the Marshall movie theater, and we watched this movie in the theater. And I remember particularly during the toilet scene falling into the aisle because I was laughing so hard at this movie. And I've loved it ever since. I saw it in the theater, watched it I don't know how many times, and I watched it today in preparation for this. So one of you guys want to give me your impressions first time?
Pete, do you know did we go to this together?
I don't remember. That's what I was just going to dive into. I don't remember the exact first time that I saw it. I remember, though, thinking beforehand, I thought this looks kind of stupid and over the top and everything.
Me too.
I wasn't that excited about it, but then it just became one of those movies that we watched over and over again, and still every time you watch it, and it holds up remarkably well. Unlike we've talked about, what was it, Tommy Boy?
Tommy Boy.
I didn't like it as much watching it now all these years later. But this one is just as funny, if not funnier, than the first 58 times that I saw this movie. But I couldn't remember if I went with you, Brad, or if it was just one of them that we watched in college over and over. Or I know we did watch it in college over and over, but I don't remember the first time exactly that I saw it. But I do remember Gifford, like you, just doubling over, laughing during that exact scene, the bathroom scene, as well as a number of other parts of the movie, which we'll get into. But yeah, that's all I have to say about that.
Oh, thank you, Forrest. So I do know, like Gifford, that I was home for the holidays from college, and I know I went to the Marshall Movie Theater, and I'm pretty sure our friend Griebel was with me, but I don't remember if you were there, Pete, and clearly you don't remember either.
Yeah.
It might have been the three of us, but it's funny you bring that up because I wasn't. I mean, I wanted to go see it, but I wasn't like overly excited either. Like, I loved Ace Ventura. I mean, I was like a freak about Ace Ventura when it came out. I thought Jim Carrey was so hilarious, and I know me and Gifford were big fans of that summer.
Yep.
I didn't really. The Mask came out too, and I didn't really get into that. And I don't know. Maybe I was already having Jim Carrey fatigue. But when I went and saw this for the first time, I don't remember loving it. Like, I remember like leaving the theater and thinking, oh, it was all right. And I don't know why, and maybe I'm misremembering it. But whatever happened, the next time I watched it, I don't know. I've seen it probably 100 times since, and it gets funnier and funnier, and it is one of my favorite comedies, and it just grew on me. So I'm not sure what happened that first night, if it was just because I went into it not expecting much, or I wasn't with, maybe you weren't there, Pete. Maybe I wasn't with the right group, to make it even funnier.
Yeah, that would have, you have to have me. Otherwise, right. It's just not any good.
But that first experience does not stand out to me, other than that I remember going. But over time, it's become great. Jim Carrey, I have brought up before on this podcast. I think the guy is brilliant, and even though this is playing the most ridiculous character ever, I mean, he's just amazing at it. Another thing this movie has that draws me in every time I watch it is the soundtrack. There's so many great songs in here. It's a great soundtrack. And we're going to talk about quotable movies tonight, and this is one of the top ones. There probably must be 15 to 20 quotes that I say, or that we say with friends, almost on a weekly basis at some point that come up.
Yeah,
it's not just one or two. There's so many, and a couple of my all-time favorite quotes from any movie. So I love it, but apparently my memory is that it took a little time to grow on me.
You talked about Jim Carrey, of course, but of course Jeff Daniels we got to talk about, who is can be a very serious and good, legit actor, and not necessarily known for being a goofball comedy actor like this movie is. But he plays this sidekick role so perfectly well, and again, it speaks to his talent. We talk about like these Oscar caliber. Obviously, this movie is never going to be up for an Oscar or anything like that. But they both do do what's asked of them so perfectly in this movie, and it's just hilarious.
And we know they're great actors because, as you
they have done,
and we brought up, like I said, Jim Carrey before.
Yeah.
As you would say, ad nauseum. Speaking of good actors, I'm sure one of you probably has down. Who was the guy that originally was going to play Harry?
Well, the original guy to play Harry was going to be Nick Cage.
Correct.
Oh.
But he turned it down more so because he went and won awards. He went and leaving Las Vegas instead.
Well, he wanted $2 million more.
And money, yeah.
And he left to go do, leaving Las Vegas, like you say, and win a freaking Oscar for it. So not a bad move on his part. I would. But say
I could see him playing that role. Sometimes,
not as well. It would be
crazy.
Different. But isn't it true too, though, that Jeff Daniels only got paid like $50,000 for this movie, and Jim Carrey got paid how many million? $7 million.
Yeah. That's insane. Brad was saying having Jim Carrey fatigue. So in 1994, Ace Ventura came out February 4th. The Mask came out July 29th, and this movie came out December 16th. So that is a massive year for Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
And you mentioned, and that's why he was able to get that $7 million offer after Ace Ventura. Daniels he only got $50K, and New Line Cinema didn't want him for it.
Yeah, because they couldn't see him in that role either,
Right.
and they thought it. You look at him and think he's not the right guy, and
well, and his
that's what
agent
they
didn't
thought.
want him to do it either. So they figured they'd offer him that such a small amount, he would be offended and not take it, but he ended up taking it anyway. And yeah, looking back on it, you're thinking, what is he doing in this movie? But oh my God, is he just amazing in it? So we kind of mentioned Nicolas Cage. I read that the original duo was supposed to be Gary Oldman and Nicolas Cage.
Well, I didn't see that, but what I did learn is that the two guys they first wanted for Lloyd were Steve Martin and Martin Short.
Who
both turned it down.
Oh, what if it was those two as the two?
But it wasn't as a team.
Nope.
It was.
I know that, but I'm just saying it would have been it would have been really good if it was those two.
Yeah, that would have been something.
Well, and the other two guys that were up for Harry were Chris Elliott and Rob Lowe. Now, I'm not a big Chris Elliott fan, but I could see Chris Elliott playing Harry Dunn.
Yeah, I mean, he has the look at least.
Right. I can see him more than I can see Rob Lowe in this movie.
Correct.
See, this is the time where Rob Lowe was playing. He was in Wayne's World and Tommy Boy, and I mean, he was doing all these comedies, and
but he was never the goofy character.
Right, I agree. I don't know that he would have fit that role very well, but who knows?
He always played like a good professional.
Actor.
Yeah, he always was like the professional business guy, or like in Wayne's World or whatever. But
so this movie had a $17 million budget, 7 of which was Jim Carrey's salary, as we mentioned. It raked in $247 million at the box office worldwide. Of course, this is the first Farrelly Brothers movie. Next to come were, we had a Kingpin and something about Mary.
Speaking of Chris Elliott.
Yep, speaking of Chris Elliott.
But this one, too, they had been trying to make this for a long time, right? And it was like really getting hard for them to get it going. And so once they got Jim Carrey, that was like the big thing that helped complete it.
Right. And they couldn't have got him at a better time
to
make this movie for $17 million.
Right.
I mean, he blew up and...
Because he actually, when he took it, they didn't really know who he was.
No clue.
And so all that money came after he got bigger, but like he was kind of already in on the role before he was Jim Carrey.
Before he
was
blew
just
up,
that, that white guy from In Living Color.
Well, and Pete, you said this movie's not getting nominated for any Oscars. Jim Carrey was nominated for a Razzie for Worst New Star.
Yeah, I saw it was nominated for a bunch of Razzies, which really disappoints me because when you think of the movies that are up for Razzies, they're truly bad movies, and this doesn't fit that bill.
Well, and this movie is one of those odd ones that was huge at the box office, but also has such a massive cult following, and the critics have come around on it since it came out. The audiences were on it right away. The critics finally came around and said, "Oh yeah, this is an amazing movie." Years later,
but like Roger Ebert gave it a bad review, but he even admitted it had he gave Jim Carrey a ton of credit, and he admitted there were some scenes that he really, really thought were funny. He thought the part with Petey the bird was the funniest thing he'd ever seen.
Yes.
But, he didn't give it an overall good review, but he still saw that. Like, to give it Razzies, that seems like a real stretch.
Well, didn't he say something about...
And 94 was a great year for movies.
Yeah. Didn't he say something about he laughed so hard at that he was almost embarrassed at himself for how hard he laughed at the PD stuff?
I just know he laughed really hard. I don't remember the description.
Yes. So let's hit our cast here a little bit. Obviously, we have Jim Carrey as Lloyd Christmas. Jeff Daniels plays Harry Dunn. We have Lauren Holly playing Mary. Did anybody else think it was weird that this is the Farrelly Brothers' first movie? The female lead is Mary. Their third movie was something about Mary.
Didn't even really think about it, actually.
What is with Mary and the Farrelly Brothers?
But what I thought was, when I first watched this movie, here's one thing I do remember, is I thought that she was going to get married or wind up with Lloyd Christmas and have her name be Merry Christmas.
That would have been great. Yes.
But they never worked that in at all, which I was kind of surprised by.
I'm surprised. I've never heard that brought up before, and that seems like a pretty obvious joke or theory or whatever you want to call it.
So that was the first thing I thought. I remember that being the first thing I thought of, because early in the movie, you hear both of their names.
Yeah.
And that was my first immediate thought.
Yep. So we also have the only other one I'm really gonna bring up is Mike Starr, who plays Joe. His last name's Mentalonlo, but they just call him Mental. Joe Mental. He's one of the heavies in this, along with his partner Shay, and then we've got Andre, I guess, is the mastermind behind this.
Well, and there are several small parts played by guys from the Farrelly Brothers movies over and over. Correct. So like Harlan Williams is the cop, and he's got a great role, and he's got an even better role in Something About Mary.
Yep. Hold on a second now. Harlan Williams in this movie plays a police officer. You found his role believable in this? As a police officer?
What do you mean?
Well, you kind of went nuts during the whole Superbad situation.
He's actually trying to enforce the law.
I know. I just figured I'd bring it up and give you a hard time.
I don't see the analogy there at all. So
okay.
Good try, though.
All right. Thank you. Thank you.
And then even the old lady at the very beginning, I never recognized before that who's in Kingpin, and yeah, she's in this movie too, which I hadn't really noticed before, and several other people.
The bartender.
If you're fans of all the movies, you see them crop up over and over.
Correct. Yes. The woman you're talking about is Lynn Shay, and in Kingpin, she's the landlady.
Yeah.
Yes. I don't know what it is about great sex that makes me want to
take a crap.
Take a crap. You really
knocked something loose there.
Oh my God.
All right, I'm gonna hit the explicit.
We didn't say anything bad.
No, not yet.
All right. Well, do you guys have any other little fun facts about the movie before I get into my quick little synopsis here?
Hit it.
All right. I will do this synopsis very vague, but just kind of gives anybody an idea who what's that?
Let me say something before you do that.
Yeah.
My last note, and I wrote this after I finished the movie. I have seen this movie at least 100 times. I still have no idea what the plot is and what the money. I cannot follow because I'm just watching the funny parts and I don't know who the bad guys are. I don't know what they're trying to do. I don't know exactly what they got mixed up in. I still don't get it, and I don't care.
The plot is that her husband got kidnapped.
Yeah, I know.
And so for $1 million ransom.
But it's just.
Do we know that's
so thrown in there? Just and my point is. I
thought it was $1 million. I thought that I thought somewhere they said the briefcase had $1 million in it, and that was a briefcase. She left it at the airport for them to pick up.
Right, and then, but I don't know if there was ever a money amount. I know there was at least $250,000.
Because that's an IOU. You're going to hold on to that one.
So
my point was as a compliment that I don't care about the plot. It means nothing to the movie. I enjoy it all the way through, no matter what. I get to the end and I'm like, wait a minute, what just happened here?
And much like Dazed and Confused, I like picking movies that really aren't heavy on plot.
There you go. I mean, there is a plot. I know that, but it's like,
it's pretty deep.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Well, tell us what it is, Gif.
All right. So this buddy comedy kicks off with Lloyd and Harry going about their jobs. Harry, as a dog groomer, is getting the client's dogs to an upcoming show in his van. He has already clipped and bathed them. Now it's time for a quick meal on the way to the show. Things don't go well for Harry, and he's fired. Lloyd is a limo driver. He's charged with delivering someone to the airport. As soon as he meets Mary, he's in love. After dropping her off and crashing his car, he noticed that she left her briefcase in the terminal. He rushes to catch her and return the case, but the plane has already left the terminal, and he falls off the jetway again. He is fired for leaving the scene of an accident. We come to find out that Mary didn't accidentally leave her briefcase. It was meant to be picked up by Joe and Shay, two shady people there to pick it up for ransom for a kidnapping. They follow Lloyd back to his house to collect. Thinking they are bill collectors, Lloyd and Harry escape out the back to avoid them. Joe and Shay break into the apartment to find the case. When they don't find it, Joe leaves the boys a message. Upon returning to their apartment and being robbed of all their money, they find their dead parakeet. In their despair, they decide to head to Aspen so Lloyd can return the case to Mary and rekindle their relationship. The fellas head off on their cross-country adventure with the goons on their heels. Along the way, they rob some locals, piss off a cop, kill Joel.
I see what you did there.
Yeah. Kill Joe and trade in their wheels all before getting to Aspen. With no money left, Lloyd and Harry get into a fight, during which the briefcase breaks open to reveal the cash inside. The boys decide to use some of the money to find lodging and pay for expenses while in town. They'll
Just
keep
the bare
track.
necessities.
They kept the receipts.
They'll keep track of their expenditures with IOUs.
Yep.
They see Mary's picture in a local paper and are able to track her down at a charity event. When Lloyd asks Harry to talk to her first, Harry ends up being set up on a date with Mary instead. Harry hides this from Lloyd and hits the slopes with Mary. Unbeknownst to Harry, Lloyd finds out and sabotages Harry's next date with Mary. Lloyd goes to Mary's house, says he has her briefcase, and invites her back to the hotel to get it. Once there, Lloyd proclaims his love for Mary and is immediately rebuffed. Andre, the man behind the kidnapping of Mary's husband, comes in with a gun looking for the ransom money. Harry comes back to the hotel. He and Lloyd get in a fight over Mary. Andre shoots Harry. As Andre is about to shoot Mary and Lloyd, Harry jumps back up and shoots at Andre, missing him with all 6 shots. Hearing the shots, the FBI charges into the room and captures Andre. It's revealed that the FBI has been trailing them and the bad guys across the country, gave Harry a gun and a vest, and sent him into the room. Mary has been reunited with her husband, and the boys are sent on their way. Hopefully, a new opportunity will soon come their way. That's about it.
Yep.
There's really
Harry,
nothing
what if he shot
more.
you in the face?
Right? Hey, what if he shot me in the face? That was a
You're
risk
alive!
to take.
Say,
And you're a terrible
Terrible
shot.
shot.
what was the name of the bad guy again that got shot at but missed?
Andre.
Andre. That's the role that Rob Lowe could have played.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was
Amazing.
Nicholas Andre. I think it was his actual name, but yeah.
When you were mentioning that earlier in the episode, it's like that is the perfect role for him,
Right.
but not like one.
Well,
of the
kind of like in Austin Powers, he was the young number 2.
right, exactly.
Perfect role for him.
Got to be the professional businessman. The
Well,
villain.
maybe he was trying to take himself out of that typecasting.
I just don't see that. I don't see. Maybe he tried. I don't know.
All right, well, let's put a shrimp on this Barbie, guys.
There you go.
That's my first note.
That's the very first line I have as well.
Mine too.
But I love after that in the credits. So I brought up the soundtrack. That Boom Shakalak song is just perfect for this movie. It's a great opening song, and it just draws you into the credits like this is just going to be fun. And so that's that song right away starts it off good.
Quirky and goofy. And then that goes right into Harry in the Mutt Cuts van and the outfit, taking the dogs to the show. And the next line I've got here is, "Footlong, who's got the footlong?"
Well, I love when he's in the van, the image of that van going over that hill and being airborne. That is just fantastic.
You're even ahead of like the intro just with him and the first woman, the one from Austria, and then Mary.
Mm-hmm.
That whole exchange happens before we even meet Jeff Daniels, right? Like that whole thing. Yeah. And it's like that whole thing that was set up perfectly. Why are you going to the airport? Flying somewhere? I could tell by the luggage.
And then once
put two and two together.
Plane ticket, I put 2 and 2 together. Yeah, and then the whole thing about how you're more likely to be killed on the way to the airport is like there's a huge explosion. He's not paying attention.
I do have my whole questioning always of these things. Yeah. I think it's very interesting how she's walking through the terminal and she sets down the briefcase. Mm-hmm. Shortly after, he runs in and he grabs it and he sprints through the entire terminal. Like he's basically right behind her. Yet somehow they boarded the plane and it left the tarmac already and it's gone. That whole timing if you're thinking too hard, doesn't worry about it.
What I like
to funny because when he falls off the that's so great. That's so funny.
What I love is that, or what I think is that he might have gone off the wrong jetway because he's that dumb.
That's one thought that I had. Too,
yes, but they show them take the word aspen off of
sure.
So it's it's got to be the right one.
Yeah, good point. So the gate attendant there is the chief of surgery in the Scrubs series. The guy who's at the gate. I don't
remember who that was.
Yeah. Anyway, I recognize him from Scrubs. I love Scrubs, and yes, that's him. What I love is when he drops her off and they're hugging. He goes, "I hate goodbyes."
Yep, I got that one.
The way that he did that was just so perfect.
Like he's really welling up with tears.
Well, then he gets home and he tells Harry,
he just has that little laugh there. I hate goodbyes.
Sparks flew, emotions ran high.
Well, or when he's running through the airport and he yells at that woman, "Move it or lose it, sister." But it's not a woman in a nun outfit. It's a woman in a nurse's outfit. So to me, he's confusing a nurse with a nun.
Oh, I just thought he was calling her
I just
sister.
thought he said,
that's now you're really thinking deep.
Well, I've seen the movie how many times? It's like, I say that line
in these movies.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so he one of the lines that say almost weekly is our pets' heads are falling off. Yes. So we're up to that part now here, and that line is so great at the end of his little soliloquy, and it's just but then I also love when he tells him he sold it. Harry, I took care of it.
And then you see Jimmy saying a pretty bird, and just
Roger
roll
love that part.
Duct tape around its head, holding it on. Well,
he put these little eyes poking out on it.
Well, and I love if we go back to when they escape the apartment and then they come back, and Harry tells them, "This is the last of our dough. Don't blow it on stupid stuff." So this is what he blew the money on.
Oh yeah, here we go.
2 cases of Coors Light, a foam cowboy hat, 5 pinwheels, the paddle and ball game, and 1 issue of Rhode Island Slut.
Yeah, he had enough left over to get that Rhode Island Slut magazine.
Don't you go dying on me. I just love
That's another great image. The quotes obviously are funny there, but when the old lady is like driving by and like she's flying by and then she like squeals to stop, that's hilarious.
And reverses backwards. Yeah.
Well, what I always love is when he's walking down the street and he's carrying all this stuff and he's trying to do the paddle ball thing and he just wails into the newsstand, and then you notice like he stops and he looks at the Rhode Island Slut newsstand and the ball is no longer on the string. When he hit it, it like went flying somewhere. So now even that's useless. I mean,
those things don't usually last very long.
No, especially with Lloyd.
But speaking of only getting the essentials and thinking like he blew the money, the first thing Harry says when he gets home is, "Where's the beer?"
Yeah.
So when he said the essentials, he meant to go buy beer for him.
Yeah.
Well, and when he gets back and Harry tells him that Petey's head fell off, and he goes, "Yeah, he was pretty old." He was like the head just falls off of birds when they get old.
Oh boy.
So then, of course, you got Jim Carrey, pumping up this story about where they're going to go. They need to go someplace warm, where the beer flows like wine, where beautiful women instinctively flock like the salmon of Capistrano. I honestly didn't know for years after this movie that it's actually the swallows.
Swallows of Capistrano.
I did, because me and Pete went there.
We did. We've got a picture somewhere. I think.
I'm like feeding the birds.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And your black and white Nike outfit that you had back then.
Well, and these 2 idiots, Joe and Shay, like they're just as dumb as these 2 because they think they're professionals because they come back. What's that?
Go ahead. Well, I just wrote down that these 2 really suck. Like they're just bad actors. It's just I did not enjoy their part here early in the movie. It seems very forced.
Well, I like Joe. I like that actor. I think he's great in a lot of other stuff.
I like it better when they pick him up.
I don't care. I don't care that they're bad actors. That's just in a movie like this, it adds to the comedy when just like we've talked about Seinfeld too. It's just kind of goofy.
I disagree.
Well, you're wrong.
We don't have to agree.
Yeah, but you know what I mean, though. It just kind of adds to the comedy when it's like
I can see that in certain comedies and to a point. So I get what you're saying. I just don't
Yeah.
agree on this particular one.
All right. Well,
But where
you
they
could be
leave
wrong.
the note on the door, "Dear Gas Man."
Yeah.
How do they know I got gas? Like,
Yeah.
I think that they've been scouting them out, and that's how they ended up with the money. And yeah,
These guys are good. Like later in the movie, these guys are professionals.
right.
So does this bring us to where they go to the restaurant now?
Yes, we're at the roadside cafe.
Excuse me, Flo.
What's
I
your
actually didn't
soup
write
du
any
jour?
notes down about this other than soup du jour because I knew you guys would just be able to take
Yes,
this anyway.
that's another one of those lines we just repeat all the time.
Well, and I love that she comes back with, "That's the soup of the day." Like, doesn't
Yeah.
even answer his question. He goes, "That sounds good. I'll have that." And this is where we also get where they're talking about, being with the common folk, and this is where he gets the line, "I like it a lot."
Yes.
For the first
I
time.
love that so much. And he says it twice. And
He
it's just,
says
I
it
love the way he
again.
says
Yep.
it.
Mhm.
I like you a lot.
Well, and then we've got the first appearance of a professional athlete in a Fairley's Brothers movie.
Yep, another thing they like.
Yep, because we had Brett Favre
Brett
in-
Favre?
in Something About Mary. We had Roger Clemens in Kingpin.
Is that I was trying to think. I don't even remember that. Was he in Kingpin?
Yeah,
He had kind of the similar role.
That's what I
as this
thought.
one, like the badass or bully.
he's
Yeah.
listed as Skid Mark in
Okay.
Kingpin.
I remember that now.
So we got Cam Neely here, longtime Bruin, as Seabass, wearing the Winem Dinem 69'em trucker hat, which is just great. So yeah, they the next scene then would be where they're in the van and they can't stop because Harry's freaked out that they're gonna get
Well, so-
killed. and
No,
Floyd
this
has
is
to
one of the
piss.
funniest lines in the movie right here.
But to back up to how
Where he
they got
goes-
there, Pete, you brought up like the bad acting.
Mhm.
The whole scene of how they get out of the cafe is a completely ridiculous stretch. But I like that because it doesn't matter that it's ridiculous. It's still funny. And of course, everything worked out just perfectly to get him out of there.
Right.
Right. Well, and then one of the funniest lines of the movie is they're driving away. He goes, "That was a brilliant idea." I don't remember the exact verbiage.
Right.
That's a brilliant idea. Where'd you come up with it? "Oh, I saw it in the movie." And he goes, "Oh, really? Then what happened?" "Oh, they got a couple of miles down the road and they caught up to him and slit their throats."
And he
It was a
laughs.
good one.
It was a good movie.
So now Lloyd has to piss, and Harry doesn't want to pull over. So now he's gonna
Harry's
piss.
freaked out now.
He's got to piss in the beer bottles that they have left in the van. And I love how you can hear the pee getting all the way up to the bottle. And why can't he just pinch it off? You can't stop what you start. It
Stop once you
stings.
start.
I wonder how messy it was under there is what I'd like to know.
Right.
Yeah, you know.
Switching to another bottle. Yeah, so this brings up Harlan Williams. And one of the lines that I don't think of in this movie that caught me this time that I think is so funny, he yells at him and calls him a pumpkin pie haircut and freak. That one just made me laugh.
Well, and my wife wears a lot of cardigans in the winter, so I always do the pull over. No, it's
No, it's a
cardigan.
cardigan.
Thanks for noticing. So then you got, and the Tic Tac, sir. I always like to use that one as well.
I do think it's interesting that he's on him, but then he just decides to let him go. You'd think
Right.
he'd be even more angry, but I don't care
Well, you
about
still
that
got-
either.
You
I
still
think
got
he
empty
was
containers.
sick. He now is sick and like throwing up.
I
And
suppose.
so he just wanted to get rid of him and not have to
Mhm.
worry about him.
And I guess technically they weren't drinking, so they didn't really do anything wrong.
That's right.
Although
Still got open containers and-
Yeah, I
yeah.
know, yeah.
But I'm with
Moving
you on
on.
that one. So the next thing that comes up here that I got down is the daydream scene while he's driving.
Yeah, and this is another one where there's a great song playing. The flowers in her hair.
Mhm.
She could make me happy. I love the song. that
And
goes
this is
along
very
with this.
reminiscent of. There's a couple of times where I thought of planes, trains, and automobiles, and this one was one of the scenes because this exact thing happens, or a very similar thing happens in that movie.
Yeah.
Mhm.
where he falls asleep and almost gets killed.
It's a pretty long dream sequence, but it's all pretty funny too.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Because
some might say maybe this goes on a little longer than necessary.
Well, I love when he's with all the rich people in Aspen. That
and
whole
they love
thing
it.
where he's doing all of this whole sequence of different things that he's doing.
Light and farts.
Light and farts. They're all just laughing
and throwing all the peanuts up in his face, like like anybody would think that's funny.
Well, especially rich people. Group. Yeah.
Well, and how hard he laughs at his own jokes, and he does like the punching motion after.
That was the best right there.
And how he tells everybody to quiet down before he lights his and then he lights his fart.
And they all lean in.
Right. And they're all, charmed by this type of humor, of course. And then we go into the restaurant scene, and he starts kicking the crap out of the wait staff. And I love how he kicks the guy in the groin 3 times, like, huh, huh, huh. And then goes down and speed bags.
That's probably the part that goes on a little too long there. Like even just that particular fight scenes, like it's pretty extended, but it's all funny still.
He rips his heart out, puts it in a doggy, shows it to him, puts it in a doggy bag.
That's funny.
And serves it.
Yes.
And what does that remind you of?
In Temple of Doom?
No.
Oh yeah, to me it's the Temple.
Well, I think at Roadhouse.
Oh well,
where he rips the guy's throat out.
Yeah, right.
Sure. Well, and then the next part of the daydream reminds me of Naked Gun, where Leslie Nielsen, but she takes her dress down, and then of course it's the head, and it's a great thing. It's her boobs are headlights. That's a term
and there's
used.
a car coming at them. That's why they're headlights.
Right. So that's a great. And you can't forget the kiss that they share. I mean, was
he eats her.
Pretty extreme. Oh my god. So the next thing I got in here is the scene where Joe gets picked up by the guys.
Well, I had one line before that.
Okay.
They're talking in the hot tub, and I love she sent me a John Deere
letter.
I don't know. It was a bunch of crap about how I didn't listen. I don't know. I wasn't paying any attention to her.
I like where he goes, we stayed in a place like this, not this classy, but nice.
Yeah. Well, and then before they pick the guy up too, I love the payphone scene where that guy is like, have you ever heard of the concept of other people? Mm-hmm. And he just punches through the glass. That's hilarious too.
Do you know what that guy's from?
I looked it up. I forgot because he's so recognizable.
Well, I have him. What I remembered him from was Elaine dated him in Seinfeld just because he didn't remember her, so she went on a date with him just so he'd remember her. But he's
probably the main. Great. I think there was another thing I saw, but that would be an obvious one that I would notice him from.
Right. So Joe gets picked up by the guys, and this is the whole most annoying sound in the world.
You can't triple stamp a double stamp, Lloyd. You can't triple stamp a double stamp.
And they start singing Mockingbird. And
there's some people that want to ride too.
This is a line Courtney and I use all the time. Pick them up.
Yep, that's great.
And they go right into. Anybody want to? I'll do the first part. You guys do the second.
No.
The mock.
C. Yeah. C.
Oh,
C.
C. Yeah. C.
Yeah.
It's just so great. They're just having such a great time.
That scene is wonderful.
Yes.
And the guy, you could just see how he's boiling, and he should. I mean, and it's because they're so good at it.
Mm-hmm. Seems like there's something that happened to Brad.
Right.
But that brings us then to the restaurant scene with him, which is maybe my other favorite scene in the movie.
Yes.
These two scenes in the car and the restaurant, the two scenes with Joe. So I said I didn't like him earlier, but this part of the movie, I love him.
Mm-hmm.
This is where it gets better.
Right. And the great scene here where both the guys eat the peppers and then they have to use
Here, Lloyd, this helps.
Ketchup and mustard. Spray it all over their tongues, and Lloyd slams it on the counter and shoots it up in the air.
Well, and this has probably two of the most used lines of my entire life.
Okay.
Why don't you eat up and we'll tell you? And pills are good.
Pills are good. Yes, I also like the we always do the how's your burger every time we grill. You got to do the how's your burger, and then he's resisting. when he's trying to give him out the mouth, or he grabs his legs out with the good, bad hair, in with the good.
I love the CPR format he does. And it, you want some ketchup and mustard? That helped us.
And then when they realize that he is dead, he just looks up. Check, please.
I still don't quite understand how they walked out of there either. If you're going to get into like, it doesn't really make sense. I don't care, but like how'd they walk out of there, especially if they're being trailed. This is where all that stuff at the end of the movie just doesn't add up to me. But again, I don't care. It just confuses me.
Right. Yeah,
they were being trailed, but they paid their check.
Because that lady that's trailing them, we see her in the next scene, so she's around.
Yep.
Yeah, yes, but she wasn't trailing him that closely, or she wasn't there at the restaurant yet at the time that they were there. And so she was like right behind him, came in and found that he was dead. And so again, now they think that these guys are professionals because they were able to kill this one guy that's trying to kill them. So
it's all a big stretch.
It's of course it's a big stretch.
That's what makes it great.
It's a dumb movie.
When he does meet the lady at the gas station, there's a lot of good stuff there too. But I love when he's on fire and he's just like, "For God's sake, just give me the number."
I like the line right before that. She goes 555. He goes 555. He's just trying to get the hell out of there because he's literally on fire. I like where he goes to her skis, huh? Those yours?
Those yours?
Both of them?
This does bring us to my favorite line in the entire movie, and one of my favorite lines of any movie of all time.
What is this?
Hey guys,
gas station?
Big gulps, huh?
Big gulps.
Well,
huh?
See you later.
Courtney's brother does that all the time. Yes, the big gulps, huh?
But then they're driving, and it's another great song. The song "Crash." It's by the Primitives, and that song is so wonderful. As you know, they're tooting down the highway now. Things are working out. They're on their way, and it's another great soundtrack song.
Well, we think they're scooting down the highway on their way. Harry wakes up, and we get the great line, "That John Denver's full of shit, man."
Yeah, right. The Rocky Mountains should be more rocky. Which leads to their big fight, and then we hear Crash Test Dummies playing, which shows the emotions of these characters.
Yes.
But Lloyd comes back on the scooter and totally redeems himself.
I get 70 miles of the gallon on this hog. Oh, yes.
I also love when they do get to Colorado then, and they're all frozen over. Do you want to do a gift? What's the delivery of Lloyd's line?
Got a little nippy going through the pass here.
Oh, no, not that one.
Oh, that's my favorite.
We're there.
We're there.
I love that one.
Said that a few times during our road trip this last week. Yes, for sure. Well, and I just love the "just go, man," and then they're froze together when they get off the bike in Aspen. Oh my God. And I just love how when they come in and they put their goggles up and their snot is all froze to their face. And he just spins around with Harry on his back. Got a little nippy going through the pass here. So now they got to find Mary. So they're walking down the street with the briefcase, and Lloyd thinks her name starts with an S, and he's going through all these, slappy, swammy. And he says Swanson.
He says Swanson. Yep, that's the brilliant part.
And Harry goes, maybe it's on the briefcase, and he looks down. Oh, Samsonite. I was way off. And which I love later when they're being held captive by Andre, and he goes, I'm the rightful owner of that briefcase. And Lloyd goes, Mr. Samsonite. He refers to him. It's just great.
We then have the Pretty Woman play as well. There's the montage of them going through the spa and looking for clothes.
Well, and even before that, I have probably a line that Courtney and I say more than any other. And that is where they get in the fight in the park. And Lloyd goes, Harry, your hands are freezing, while he's choking him. That's the thing he catches on to. Not the fact that he's getting choked out, but that Harry's hands are cold. So yes, the montage where they're going through, all the,
toenails.
Then we get the iconic outfits that they wear to the charity ball.
Mm-hmm.
We got to get you to the ball, Cinderella.
Well, and the first tuxedo actually that he tries on actually looks really good on him.
Well, several of them are normal.
And same thing with the hairstyle too. He had like a totally normal, like 1940s good-looking guy haircut. No,
look at the fun bags on that hose hound. Right. Okay, here's another great line that I know you love, Giff.
Yeah.
Tell her I have a rapist's wit.
Yes, rapist wit. Not a rapier wit, a rapist wit. So good. I like the line where, they finally, Harry sees her and Lloyd says, I just got that old-fashioned romantic feeling where I'd do anything to bone her. So dumb. And have you ever stood by the bar and put out the vibe? That was a big one. Harry's opening line to Mary. Nice set of hooters you got there. I like
the owls. You're the owls.
Right.
Oh. Another. Well, this is obviously ridiculous too. So I was just going to say another. I mean, she's totally into him. Mary is totally into Harry, which obviously would never happen. But
well, I don't know if she's necessarily into her, but Terry Garr's character is the one that's pushing for this date because she wants Mary to go out and have some fun. And Mary just being the nice person that she is.
Yeah, I don't think she's into him. She just goes out with because it's fun.
As the day goes on, it seems like that she is, though.
But Terry Garr is a very small, minor part in this movie. But she's got a great line, too. I love when she says, "Oh, just forget about your friend for one day." But as the day goes on, the montage is to New Age Girl by Dead-Eye Dick, which is one of the great songs of the year that came from this movie.
Well, and
we also had If You Don't Love Me, I'll Kill Myself by Pete Droge.
Okay. The part I love about the whole montage is when they get into the snowball fight and Harry just
that's when that song is playing
off and whacks her right in the face from 5 feet away. And then a great line, when Lloyd runs out of the bar. When he was been waiting for Mary the whole day, and he yells to anybody who will listen in the lobby, "We landed on the moon!"
No way! That's great. All right, that's another one that you can say all the time.
Right. The next thing I've got, well, when Lloyd finds out that Harry went on the date, I love his run of emotions between almost crying and then almost throwing up. His motion that he makes while he's
great acting.
Wants to throw up. So the next thing I got here is Harry's diarrhea scene, and this is the iconic scene of the movie for me. Everybody knows that feeling, the noises they have in there for the stomach. Yep. It's just outstanding. And him, rushing into the bathroom, holding his butt as he's running towards the toilet. And then he's got the fart noises, the poop noises, his feet are off the ground.
The facial expressions are what does it for me.
His noises that he's making sounds like a turkey. Yes, exactly. And then it finishes with that one little squeak fart and him laughing at it. He gives that little giggle at the end.
Well, and then he's so happy because he thinks it's over, and he's gonna be okay. And then she tells him that the toilet's broken.
Right. And that is every person's nightmare right there. It's not now you've gotten to the John in time, but now you can't get it down. Yes, that is. And how he's waving the towel with the stink, and it goes around his head the last time. I mean, to me it's great because Jeff Daniels is thought of as this dramatic actor. And then that scene just, if that wasn't going to kill his career, I don't know what wasn't, what would have done it. But it's just so good, and he pulls it off perfectly. Oh,
I'm shaving.
Right.
I'm shaving. Are we to the climactic scene now?
Yeah, we're in the hotel with Lloyd and Mary now. This is where he does the "I like you a lot."
After he says, "I desperately want to make love to a schoolboy."
Not a line I use very often.
But see, again, this is where I get confused. If the FBI is right there, why are they giving him a gun, and why don't they come in until it's like, why didn't they come in first?
Why wouldn't they got Andre beforehand? I don't know. Maybe they
That's
wanted
why
to catch him in the act.
Because I feel like I'm missing something, but I think it's just
we don't need to overthink this movie.
Right.
I don't.
Well, and then this is another line used all the time. So you're telling me there's a chance?
Oh yeah, that's like the most.
That is the most famous.
Almost
line
a
from
cliche at this point. The way it gets used all over the place.
I read you. Well, and then when Andre comes to the door and he says something about the husband, and Lloyd goes, "Husband? Wait a minute. What was all this 1 in a million talk?"
That's funny. That one's even better. What if he shot you in the face?
This is where we got the, he finds out that there's nothing but paper left in the briefcase. That's as good as money. Those are IOUs. See this? That's a car. $275,000.
Hold on. Hang on to that
one. And then, of course, they run into the Tropicana girls and literally talking about how they never get a break. And they're begged to go with them, and they don't understand, and they turn them away, which is a great ending because that fits.
That fits perfectly.
It really does, because it's sort of like
it makes you like hurt to see it happen, but it fits.
It's the bromance ending, where it's just the two guys, and it does end perfectly for the movie.
Don't worry, we'll get our break someday.
Right, just gotta keep an eye out for it.
Keep an eye out for it.
You're lucky. There's a town about 3 miles that way.
Do you realize what we've just done?
You realize what
the town is that way.
Excuse my friend. He's a bit slow.
Oh boy. I think we got all the quotes in.
I think we got pretty much all of them in, yes.
And I think that proves why your topic for our draft is perfect.
Yes.
Oh, nice segue.
So we are going to draft our top 5 most quotable movies. And we are going to go, I'll be first since it's my topic. In a game before the show, Brad won. He'll get second spot, and Pete will be bringing up the back end here with the third spot. So I am going to go with my number 1 pick. I've got Caddyshack.
Oh, you didn't pick Dumb and Dumber?
I didn't pick Dumb and Dumber.
I didn't even put it on my list because I was just going to let you have it.
Okay. Well, Dumb and Dumber is on my list, but
on the board.
I mean,
but that makes me upset now because I assumed I'll get Caddyshack at number 2. And no, I don't.
No, gotta take Caddyshack.
All right.
Well, you'll have nothing and like it. I'll get the asthma. I mean, there's so many.
There's a million. It's the best choice. I just assumed you'd go with Dumb and Dumber. So
nope.
My board is already blown up.
All right. Well, Caddyshack is off the board.
Yes. You get number 2 pick.
I am going to go with one that I think it might be a little bit of a curveball, but you're not going to disagree. But I'm going to go with Swingers.
See, I didn't put that on my list because I figured you two would take it.
Because I mean, that movie for 27 years now, it's just over and over and over. Every line in that movie is just gold. It's just money, baby.
It is.
They get used as much as anything, and it's great. So I'm going to go with that. And a little preview. We're going to talk about it at the end of this month.
Excellent.
A lot of good choices here I could go with.
Sure are.
There's one that I really want to take, but I'm going to hold on to it because I think it'll be available on my next pick. So stay tuned. I'm going to take Dumb and Dumber.
Oh, Pete is going to take Dumb and Dumber as the 3rd overall pick.
So would you have picked it next, Giff?
Nope. That was my 4th overall pick.
Oh, wow.
And I didn't have Swingers on my board. So I am going to go with A Christmas Vacation.
I knew it. These were the 2 I was going to take.
You serious, Clark? Oh, man.
That's the one I thought I'd get next.
So I got my top 2 picks.
And I knew you'd have it as your next pick, too. All right. Well, I'm going to go with Vacation because that's the next one on my board. And that's the original. And it's got every bit of... And if you on a road trip like you just were, Gifford, and I've been on, I mean, tell me you didn't quote it the whole time.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you think you hate it now, wait till you drive it. I mean, come on.
I did ask before the show if a franchise, how that worked.
And this is the only one where I thought that might come up.
Well, this is my 2 and 3 pick: Christmas Vacation and Vacation, and that's
next, huh?
That's the only franchise like double up I had.
Mine too. So you had Vacation ahead of Dumb and Dumber.
I had Caddyshack, Christmas Vacation, then Dumb and Dumber.
Okay, so I've validated in my choice there. Good pick.
And I did use this last week on vacation. Bet you could use a cool one.
Bet you could use a cool one.
Very well then.
When they close roads, they put up big signs like this one.
50 yards.
50 yards.
I'm gonna go with the correct answer. Three Amigos.
That's my next one.
That's a good one.
There's no, I don't think of any of the movies we named, there is not a more quoted movie among us than Three Amigos.
Caddyshack.
Caddyshack. I don't know.
I don't know.
Caddyshack's
I
gotta
think
be up
Three
there.
Amigos.
It's
I
close,
think Three Amigos.
All right.
Oh, hey guys, by the way.
Yeah.
So the one we're going to record a couple of days from, it's going to come out in 2 weeks. There is a tie-in to Three Amigos in there. I want you to be paying attention.
The one we're going to do in a couple weeks or next week?
The next movie that we're going to be talking about.
Okay.
So I want, when you watch that movie, because I've watched it and you haven't yet.
All right.
I want you to be prepared to look for a Three Amigos tie-in.
Excellent.
Interesting.
All right. I'm going to leave my number 5 because I think it might slip down to me for the next go around here. So I'm going to take my next highest choice. I'm going with Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Yep, that's on my list.
Those aren't pillows. People Train, go on a Stubbill.
Good choice. Good choice.
I wrote down quotes for all of these movies. Oh, this is so much fun.
Yeah, this is hard. So I'm going to kind of keep with your theme of Steve Martin, and I'm going to pick The Jerk.
That
was
he
on
hates
my list.
these cans.
On my list. All right. I'm going to go with another oft-quoted movie among our group. I'm going with Clerks.
Yes. Yep, that's on my list too.
In a row?
Try not to suck any dicks on the way across the parking lot.
And we have a episode on that way back, one of our very first ones, if you would like to hear that.
That's correct.
By the way, we also have a vacation one, a Christmas Vacation one, a Three Amigos one.
Mm-hmm.
So, and there will be a Swingers one coming.
All right. I am going to leave my number 5 overall pick again, and I'm going to go with what we've said on this podcast is the perfect movie. I'm going with The Princess Bride.
You are just on. That was my next pick.
Inconceivable.
All right. I got to vote for Gifford this time. He has my list. He threw the whole thing off by not taking Dumb and Dumber first.
You gotta take Caddyshack. I mean, come on.
Yeah, but I thought you would take it. That's all.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that was what I was going to pick. So now I got to re-look at it here. Well, I'm going to pick another comedy from the 80s that maybe isn't quite flat out as funny, although it is. But this movie was built for the one-liners and for the lines, and that is Fletch. I mean, every line that Chevy Chase says in Fletch is something you can repeat and use in a hilarious manner. It's all ball bearings these days.
I can't argue with you on that one. I'm going with another one that we have done an episode on. Very often quoted when you work in a corporate setting, like I have my entire adult career. I am going with Office Space.
I had it written down before you even said it. That is a good one. That is a good. That and Swingers are kind of the two newer ones for us.
There's all sorts of memes and all that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah,
Office Space.
All right, Giff. I don't know what I'm gonna pick next, but I'm sure you'll steal it.
Is this? Am I up to my last one?
Yeah, you are. So you said you had a 5th one left.
I got my 5th overall pick, kind of off the board, but
oh god,
Courtney and I quote this all the time, and that is Forrest Gump.
Oh my god, you did it!
I took your last one.
I cannot believe you just picked Forrest Gump.
That was on my list as well.
5 overall pick.
That was going to be my Oh my God. And I didn't think you guys would pick Princess Bride and Forrest Gump. I thought those were kind of good ones because they're not, the straight comedies that we always talk about.
Both are on my list.
But Courtney and I do the Greenbow, Alabama all the time. And every time I'm having ice cream, I always go, ice cream, Lieutenant Dan.
Well, there's just so many. I mean, you're not even naming like the ones that everybody knows.
No, but those are the ones I usually come up with. We always do the no, sir, we are not of relation.
Oh,
I'm sorry, Brad.
Well, I mean, I love it. I just, I'm gonna when I put them out there to vote, I'm gonna change our names on the list.
Don't put the names on the list. Seriously.
Oh, that's right.
Oh,
I
don't think even put the names on there.
That doesn't.
I'm not kidding about that. Just put the lists.
I forgot about that. That's a good thing to consider later. All right, for my last one, I don't even know. I could pick so many different ones here for different reasons, and I could pick 16 Candles because it was my original movie that I quoted my entire life. We talked about that one. I could pick an action movie like Die Hard or Cape. Here's a sneaky one, Cape Fear, amongst maybe not. I don't know about you, Gift, but the other friends all the time.
Yep, for sure.
But I'm going to go with the one that I think maybe has the most
Could you be there?
I wonder if you're there.
Could you be there?
She's down in the theater. I'm not going to pick Cape Fear, though. I'm going to pick the one that just is, again, one-liners after one-liners, Austin Powers.
Yep.
Yeah, baby.
See, and Austin Powers, for me, was like you with Dumb and Dumber. I went to it. I watched it. I thought it was okay. But it was after everybody started talking about it, and it was line after line after line. I'm like, oh my God, yeah, that was awesome. That was great.
Try me you horny, baby.
It's not mine.
Honestly. Yeah, it's a great choice. I'm glad I got it, I guess. But
yeah, that is a huge one.
You just kept stealing my thunder. Pete, what's the last one?
I'm going to pick one that I'm guessing that neither one of you had on your list. You might have, but it goes back a lot further. And it's one of the first ones of these kinds of repeat quotable movies of my lifetime because my dad kept watching it and repeating all the lines. I'm going with Blazing Saddles.
Yes.
I thought you were going to pick Airplane, which is on my list.
That could have been, but Blazing Saddles
or Naked Gun,
just as relevant.
Yeah,
that's Gun on my list. You're naming all the ones pretty much I have left on my list, but I'm going with Blazing Saddles in honor of my dad.
I still have two top 10s of my top 10 that are left on my list.
The only ones that I have left that we didn't mention yet are There's Something About Mary.
Yep.
Roller Pig?
Did I say spark plug? No, I meant butt plug.
Here's a good one that I thought one of you might pick is Elf.
Yes, that was my number 9.
And is that it? And then and then you mentioned Airplane now. Mm-hmm. The other one that I listed, but it's more unique to us and certain cult followings, is The Room.
Oh, yeah.
Talk about a quotable
absolutely.
movie.
Yep.
Now, I had a couple others written down. I didn't think that I'd wind up picking them, but they're off the beaten path. But when you think of the category, quotable movies,
when you think of garbage, think of Hakeem.
No, I had The Godfather, Shawshank Redemption, Pulp Fiction, and anything from Star Wars, really. That was also one of the reasons I was asking about the franchises, especially like Empire Strikes Back. There's so many quotes that everybody knows.
Yeah, I mean, they all have like at least one or two really famous quotes for sure.
Right.
Sure. Back to the Future, Jaws. Jaws is another one that's.
We're gonna need a bigger boat.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Goodfellas was another one I had written down.
How am I funny to you?
What am I, a clown?
Am I a clown?
Did you have other ones, Gifford?
I had Tommy Boy at 10, Billy Madison at 11, Coming to America.
Nice.
Animal House, Major League.
Yeah, Coming to America, Naked Gun, Major League. Those were all didn't even make my top 20, but they could have been top 5. I mean,
Dazed and Confused, Legally Blonde. That was we got a lot of ones out of there. Not Another Teen Movie.
Oh, did I mention Die Hard?
You did, yeah.
Okay, because that's a good one.
Bull
Welcome
Durham.
to the party, pal.
And one that you don't think of usually until you watch the movie, but there's a ton of lines. Another Mike Myers movie, So I Married an Axe Murderer.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
whoa. With the whole
ordered the
Piper
large
down.
cappuccino. Hello.
Hello.
Woman.
That is a great movie, and that holds up.
I'm surprised you didn't have When Harry Met Sally.
Man.
I did consider When Harry Met Sally, Gifford. That I just once I got to 20 here, I'm like, you know, it was a few that were like, but yes, that was definitely another one I could have picked.
Right. There's so many. I mean, that's the beauty of the category. I mean, everybody's happy with everything.
Geese and ducks better scurry.
I'm singing. I'm singing.
Sorry, with on top of
Elvira. Hey, you know who I think is the most quotable band of all time?
Preacher Row.
That's exactly right. You nailed it.
All right.
Here they are. Thanks for listening.
I hate goodbyes.
Nailed it.
No one's here to comfort me. Sorry for what I have done. Sorry that your son is gone. 7 steps and it will be my last. And start to me on my back. I turn and I look to you. I'm scared but there's nothing I can do.